Here is the number one sign that you are in a toxic relationship. Hi, I'm Amy and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. I'm a certified attachment style coach and I help anxious attachers break the cycle of avoidant and emotionally unavailable partners so that you can really thrive in your independence and prevent future heartbreak. And before I start this video, I do have a 6-week self-study course that is the blueprint of how I healed my own anxious attachment to become more secure. The link is available in my bio, but let's get started on the video because I speak to people day in, day out who come to me because they have a relationship problem or they are really struggling with a breakup. And the key theme here is that they almost always miss this. And as anxious attachers, we're already pre-programmed to blame ourselves for things that go wrong. And when you are in a relationship with somebody who is avoidant, toxic in general, emotionally unavailable, or even narcissistic, when you are in these relationships, that fear that there is something fundamentally wrong with you is magnified by the other person's behavior. And the sign that is often missed, and I miss this too, you guys, is that you have this deep feeling that something's not right, but you can't put your finger on what it is. And because you can't put your finger on what it is, you kind of turn inward and think, well, it must be me then, because this person isn't doing anything wrong. And this is what takes you through this painful cycle of trying to fix yourself in order to make a relationship work that was never going to work in the first place because it wasn't your problem to begin with. Now, just as a caveat to this, what I'm not saying is that anxious attachers have no healing to do, because you do. In order to function in a healthy way in a relationship, you are going to have to look at what your fears of abandonment are and where they come from. You are going to have to learn to feel safe both on your own and in a relationship, and to not rely emotionally on somebody else. So these are all things that are valid, that need to be looked at with the anxious attacher. But where the waters get muddy is when you are in a relationship with somebody who persistently dismisses you, who gaslights you, and who doesn't really take into consideration what your needs and feelings are. If you are in a relationship with somebody who consistently makes you feel like you're too much and that your feelings don't matter, anxious attachment has nothing to do with it. Even a secure person in that scenario is going to feel anxious. They are going to feel hurt. It's got nothing to do with your past trauma. I had this in my own relationship as well, where my ex-partner would say that it was my trust issues that were ruining the relationship. And I believed it. And I was constantly told that I was unreasonable and it was because of my past and my history that I was reacting the way that I was. And if you've followed me for a while, you'll know that I was in a 7-year on and off relationship with a dismissive avoidant partner. I didn't realize a lot of this at the time. It was more in hindsight where I was able to properly process what had happened. But I really did believe this, you guys. I thought, oh, my suspicious nature is nothing to do with him. It's because I've been left before, and it's because I'm just seeing this relationship through the lens of abandonment, which was partially true. But actually, this person did triangulate. They did tell me that they had hot friends. And I'm just going to give you an example of when this happened. So I was at a pub with this person and during a drink, a woman walked past and he said, without any prompting, that he would fuck that person. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, what the hell have you just said? Why did you say that? But instead of taking responsibility, they say, oh, but you know what I'm like when I've had a drink. Oh, things just come out. Or I can't control, they came up with excuses. We had plans the next day, and when I wanted to talk about this situation later on, they again gaslighted me and said that it was my trust issues that made me feel uncomfortable, not the fact that he'd just said this about a random woman. And this wasn't an isolated incident, you guys. This happened quite frequently throughout the relationship. But how this person was saying it to me made me feel like actually it was my problem and what he'd done was completely okay. But actually it was blatant disrespect. And as I say, these incidents happened quite frequently throughout the relationship, and I was feeling uncomfortable. But at the time, I didn't think that that was the reason why I was uncomfortable. I didn't think that it was the gaslighting that was making me feel uncomfortable. So I was racking my brains trying to make myself feel okay with disrespectful behaviour, thinking that it was my problem, when it absolutely wasn't, you guys. And I hear this all the time from clients where they think, oh, it's me that's the problem, it's because of my anxious attachment. But when you dig deeper into it and you know, have conversations about how does your partner actually communicate with you, how do they treat you, are they respectful? Or they'll say things like, oh, my partner's hot-headed, not that my partner is verbally abusive. And so what anxious attachers tend to do is minimize what their partners are doing and maximize and magnify the problem within themselves. But all of this was to escape accountability. He didn't want to be responsible for his actions or what he said to me. He didn't want to feel responsible for being disrespectful. And I continued in this relationship thinking there was a problem with me. And I went on this trail of trying to find out what the problem was in me and why I couldn't function in relationships, which again was partly true. Of course, I had past trauma that I did need to deal with. I needed to be able to trust people. I needed to be able to be okay on my own. But what I didn't need to be able to do was to be okay with disrespectful behavior. Absolutely not. And if you find yourself, guys, having to explain to somebody what respect is, you are with the wrong person. If you have to spell out to somebody how to treat you with kindness or to just be nice to you consistently, you are in the wrong relationship and it is not your fault. If you are with somebody who constantly questions, who constantly deflects everything onto you and makes everything your fault, if you are being told that you are too much, that you've got trust issues, that you're this, you're that, it's emotionally abusive. It's not feedback as they might dress it up as. It's a way to escape accountability. So why do toxic people want to escape accountability? Why do, avoidance, emotionally unavailable people, or even narcissists, why don't they want to be accountable for their own actions? And the reason why is because they've got a deep-seated wound that's based in shame. So if you think when they were a child, they might have been overly punished for small wrongdoings. To escape that, to escape the punishment, is to blame somebody else. So now that's become a subconscious pattern within their minds where, if it is that they feel criticised or anything that's taken as an attack, really, their subconscious programming is automatically to deflect. It's your fault. It's not my fault. It's their fault. So I'm not saying that this is right, by the way, and I'm certainly not saying that it's okay to consistently deflect your wrongdoings onto somebody else, but it's just so that you're not really personalising it, because I can tell you when you're in that situation, and when you've been in that situation for a long time as well, it really, really messes with what your perception of yourself is, of them, of the relationship, and you end up feeling baseline confused all the time, which is where this idea that something's wrong but I can't put my finger on what it is comes from. It's confusion because you've got somebody who is nice one minute and doesn't want to know you the next. You've got somebody who is telling you that you are the problem in this relationship, and if you heal then we would be okay. You've got somebody who is being blatantly disrespectful to you and making it so that you are the problem. You're the reason why they're being disrespectful to you, or that they weren't even disrespectful in the first place. So what can anxious attachers do to help themselves in these situations? The first thing is to start really trusting how you're feeling. If something feels off, instead of just blaming yourself and thinking, oh, well, I'm just being reactive, or I'm being unreasonable, or it's my attachment style coming online. Instead of just doing that, really assess the situation. What has this person actually done? What did they say? How did that make you feel? And validate yourself. Because, of course, if somebody is saying to you, you are too much, yeah, that's going to be painful. It's going to hurt. And also when you know really deep down that it isn't you that's being too much, eventually it diminishes your own sense of self. You stop trusting yourself. You stop trusting how you feel about things. You ignore what you think and what you believe and what you feel about things in order to stay in the relationship, and ultimately to make it so that this person stays. And this is where the anxious attacher needs to do some work, because if you are putting aside your feelings, your thoughts, your needs to keep a person in a relationship with you, this is where the work needs to be done. Because if it is that they're feeling like that, anxious attachers have a belief that they are not okay on their own, and that this relationship, even though it's bad, is better than being on your own. And this is the belief that we need to work on, because you are absolutely better off on your own. If somebody is making you feel unworthy, if somebody is making you feel not good enough, you are absolutely better off on your own, guys. So I want you to address that. What is so terrifying about being on your own? You know, what is it that's keeping you in this relationship even though it's really bad? What is it that's keeping you invested emotionally in this relationship? Has this person been manipulative? Has this person gaslighted you into thinking that you are the problem and that they're perfect? And I want you to really start to look into where this belief is coming from, that I won't be okay on my own, or that this is the only person that's going to meet my needs. But the bottom line is, if you feel like something's wrong, something probably is. It's not your attachment style. If you are telling yourself that it's your attachment style, you are gaslighting yourself, because you are saying that actually my experience isn't valid. My thoughts and feelings about this experience are not valid. So if it's a recent situation or a recent circumstance or scenario that's happened, I want you to write that down. Write down, this is what happened. This is how I felt about it. This is what I think about it, and honor it, validate it. Of course you felt like that when your partner said that he wanted to fuck somebody else. Of course you felt upset. Of course you felt disrespected. Of course you felt rejected. And validate it, because you're not wrong, guys. And I hope you found that video helpful. If you did and you like this content, please consider subscribing to this channel and leaving this video a like. Drop any stories that you have in the comment box below. I do love to read them and reply to them. But I'm Amy, and it's an absolute pleasure to help you improve your self-worth, and I will see you in the next video.